hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. Without you, driving me crazy just thinking. Driving me crazy just thinking. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just too. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just too. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. It's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live in a world without you. Give it to me like world without you. Just thinking. World without you. Driving me crazy just thinking. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. World without you. Driving me crazy just thinking. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself. I don't wanna live without you.
Right, good afternoon, people. Again, another random show as usual, and probably a strange time during the day, but I know there's going to be a hell of a lot of shows later. So I thought, you know what? Stuff it. Let's come in and just put my point across. I've got a couple of guests in the back that I'm going to bring on in 5 minutes. Ah, what a strange old day at Spurs yesterday. What a strange old game. I must admit, it's got to be the first game where I've ever gone on there and quite happily wanted us to lose. I won't deny it. Some people say moral, some people say it's wrong, some people say it's the reason that the club's in pieces. Some people say it was right. Do you know what? There was no wrong or right in this situation as far as I'm concerned. Same as a lot of things in football. There's a lot of facts to things, but there's also a lot of opinion. So the fact that I wanted Spurs to lose, it wasn't wrong, but it wasn't right, but it was right to me. It's opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. Someone who found it wrong and wanted to win the game no matter what, that's up to them. That's their opinion. That is what you are entitled to on this planet. Opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. Yet there's a lot of people out there who love to judge people and tell you you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you shouldn't do this, and your opinion shouldn't be that. You know what? Bollocks to you. I will have what opinion I want to have. Prove me wrong. If there's a fact to it, I'll put my hands up. You know what? Give me your opinion. And I think it's a good opinion. And I think it's better than mine. Again, I'll put my hands up and say, do you know what? That's a fair point. I'll take that in. And then I'll quite possibly change mine. Why? Because you've got to listen to learn. You've got to be willing to take in other people's opinions to learn. Too many people, especially in this Spurs community as a whole, and this isn't aimed at no one directly, too many people as a whole only want to see it their way and don't even want to take in another way. But then I suppose that's in a lot of football communities. But I can only go from what I see. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. So with yesterday, I mean, if we were going to be obvious, City was going to do us anyway. I think we all knew that. But the thing that was just brewing on a lot of people and on this game was the fact that if we lost this, it destroyed Arsenal's season. Quite possibly, because there's still one game left. Isn't it sad, though, that certain fans like me and a few others, the highlight of the season was the fact that we sort of had to lose to destroy Arsenal's season. Whereas if maybe we'd have done things different or whatever, we could have done it the right way, and that's beat them at their game. But here's where Ange comes into it. Of all the games in the world, my man wants to start adapting, which I've been screaming him to do for 5 months. He decides to do it on this game. I'm going to get into that one with the guests I've got. So I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people, and then I'm going to bring on my 2 guests. And like I've put the link out on WhatsApp, anyone who wants to come in and give their point on this one, you're more than welcome. All right, so Lokeman, hi everyone. Welcome to HotspurHood and Spurs Asian TV. Yes, mate, you're with me. And Just Harmless Potato, hope you're all right, mate. And Coach's Corner, Ange wants to leave Spurs. You can see it. I don't know, but that's one we're obviously going to have a look at. Tony, big up always, mate. Big up to you. I hope you're all good. Ray the Yid, big up, Dan. In all fairness, I can't believe these fans have let Ange get away with his comments yesterday. Again, they just seem to lap it up like clowns. Purely opinion on that one, mate, but I can totally see where you're going from there. But I suppose it's very easy to put the blame somewhere else, isn't it, when you don't want to take responsibility for any blame yourself. And I think there is some responsibility that Ange should be taking that he doesn't. But there we go. James Flower, hope you're doing good, mate. What I'm actually going to do is if you or someone else wants to jump in on the chat, I'll have a couple of people on it. If they want to come on, there is the link on there I've just put on. Come and give us your opinion. Daryl Denton, Ange needs to learn. Silence is better than bullshit. Agreed. Tony, Jesus fucking Christ. We are all laughing stock of European football. Mate, we've been laughing stock of football for a long time. So that's one we deal with. Good afternoon to you, Wayne, as well. And Ray the Yid, as much as we wanted to lose, can't lie, it did hurt, but it is what it is. Of course it did. Rob, big up Dan, and Ange, big up to you too. Ange needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror and not blame the fans and take a look at the 4 losses on a bounce. And the 3 losses on the bounce and the significant ones we've lost because he's not willing to adapt. And James, already just got you on here, mate. As I can see, I'm going to bring everyone on in a second. Andy Clark, hope you're doing, mate. Big up, Dan. Hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good as well. And just to say big up to a couple of others. Scott M, hope you're doing well, mate. Big up, Dan. Hope you're doing well. And Matt, big up, Dan. Big up to you too. Like I say, either you two or anyone else, I've put the link on here. Feel free to come on and give your opinion about this one. So, first guest is going to come in. Eugin, hope you're all good, mate. And with that, we also have Adrian, and we now also have James Flower. So, with this game yesterday, very different, very weird feelings for a lot of people on this one. I don't think we threw the game, not at all. I think we definitely went out to win the game as such. I mean, I must admit that miss by Son at the end was skeptical, to say the least. If there was anyone you ever wanted...
Questionable.
Exactly. If there was anyone you ever wanted on this planet at this moment in time, in this position, it was Son. Who knows? Maybe it was just one of those days. Right. But they will come to you, Eugene. This game yesterday and everything about it, we're going to what Ange says later on, yeah? But this game, the start up, the mentality with the fans and everything about it, how do you feel about yesterday? This strange day we had yesterday.
Okay, as you know, like Dan, I'm from way far in the east side, right? I'm from Malaysia. We have quite a good supporting, Spurs following over here, right? And sadly to say, I'm the only Malaysian Spurs YouTuber that we have in the country at the moment. Based on what I know, a lot of the fans in Malaysia, Spurs fans, thought that not to say they wanted us to lose, but how you say that they would rather not Arsenal get the title because of us winning. But then it comes to the point is that do we have that capability of winning first? Yes, But as I did the watch along, right, with Scott M yesterday, right? Even Scott would agree, right? We played much better, right? Ange tweaked his defense, right? We didn't play that high line kamikaze kind of football because maybe in the end he had that pressure of trying to win that game, right? But of course, the stadium has its stadium's issues and all that, right? So, how would I say this? It is what it is. Me being a Spurs fan, of course, I want to win every game. But yesterday, I could just say, right, I don't mind if we lost, right? Because Arsenal wouldn't get the title if we lost. Or even, to tell the truth, if we drew, that also put it in the jeopardy that Arsenal will have one hand on the title because it will be a big fight between the other two guys who are fighting for it. But like you said earlier, we wouldn't be in this predicament, right, if we didn't screw up in the past four games, or 5 games, right, apart from the Burnley game that we won. So it is what it is. We have to take it on the chin, right? But the sad part is that after this, what has happened, I'm not sure whether the rest of the fan base goes into that kind of a meltdown, but, the Spurs fan base usually does go into a meltdown, right? And then the civil war starts again. Yeah, the civil war starts again.
Okay. Adrian, with basically what I just asked Eugin, with the day yesterday, not saying enough, forget about what Ange said afterwards and everything else. We go to that one later. Your opinion on yesterday, the game yesterday, the fans' mentality for it and everything else. Go for gold.
Well, at the stadium, I thought the atmosphere was good. I mean, it was even good even after Man City scored. The team played well. I think they played very well, a lot better than they played against Man City in the FA Cup game when we lost 1-0. We didn't even turn up. And we had more chances than more shots, believe it or not. And I think we've had more possession. So
we always do.
Yeah. So players got stuck in, when there was pressing, getting the tackles in. I thought Bentancur had a very good game, in midfield. He looked like he's getting back to his best. I mean, it's subjective on who we think played well, obviously. No, Van der Ven at left back, well, I know where you're coming from about could have played him there earlier in the game, but remember, before your doggy was injured and Davies was injured, that was not going to happen. And the fear with it is,
until I see it.
Yeah, I know. The fear with it is, it's not so much, it's worked for 2 games, right? We have this with players that do well for a couple of games, right? It's worked for 2 games, and he hasn't been caught upfield when a team's made a break on us and we've needed him at the back and we've conceded a goal. So you've got to take all that into consideration. And we know his future's not a left back, right? We need him on a high line. We need him at centre of defence. But we're down to the bare bones. I like the look of the team selection. It surprised me. And I thought, and I've been saying on previous podcasts, I'd like to have seen Son on one wing, another our wingers on the left, and Maddison playing as a deep line number 9, similar to what Liverpool did with Bobby Firmino when they had Mane and Salah playing.
False 9, basically.
Yeah. And I think Maddison was just given license to roam. And he looked better yesterday. All right, he didn't create anything great, right? But he had a lot of the ball. He used it well, but we just lacked bite up front, didn't we? Which has been a big problem. So yeah. So, but all in all, I thought we played well. I wanted us to win, but this is now the calm after the storm because it doesn't matter, right? So everyone can get back into neutral gear again, right? Instead of going off at tangents, venting their spleens about what we should have done yesterday and what we shouldn't. We played well. No one can knock us. And it was a good save by the goalkeeper from Son. I wanted him to score. I know Southers wouldn't.
I thought both goalkeepers had a very good game.
Yeah, they did. He pulled off about 3 exceptional saves, but their goalkeeper made more. Kulusevski at the near post and things like that. Yeah. I mean, they had Bentancur shot first. I thought it was Maddison at first. I'm right down the far end, but it was Bentancur made the first save out of him, didn't he? Yeah. No, we played well. Against the best team in the league. So, all in all, we only need, we might not need another point, but the most we need is the point to guarantee Europe next season. and it will depend on whether Man United win the FA Cup, because then they'll go in the Europa League. So we'll see how that affects, if that happens or not. Yeah. So
okay. So then, James, good to see you on here, mate. Hope everything's good for you. And with basically the same question I've just asked them, your opinion as a whole, without going with what Ange said after the game, we'll go into that. Yesterday, your opinion on the fans' attitude, the game, everything. Go for gold, mate. Your go.
When I talk about this, I'm including myself in this as well. So I'm not digging out any fans because I'm including myself. When we ask for change and then Ange does change, Ange still gets criticism for changing. Everyone goes, well, why didn't he do that ages ago? Well, he's played Maddison attacking mid, defensive mid, left mid. So he is trying to change. And I thought yesterday, I personally, again, I've got to say, I was a bit like, I would like a loss here. I would have rather City win. I'd rather City win and Arsenal not win the league. But what a small club mentality that is. And again, I'm including myself in that. Because why, at my detribution, would I want us to not get Champions League because it might affect my rivals? And without going into the Ange thing, I feel sorry for him a little bit because he's trying to change everything. We're going to go for the league next year. So he's cut out that, let's go for top 4. He's then sort of saying, right, I'm changing it. I'm trying everything. The only person he hasn't given a fair crack to, in my opinion, is Gio. So now he has changed the team. We're now saying, well, why didn't he do it sooner? It's like, you're damned if you don't, you're damned if you do. I thought yesterday was fantastic. That's the best I've seen us play. We should have potentially got a draw, if not won that game. So, fair play, in my opinion. I think fair play. The players are fighting for him as well. I don't think you could say, because I've seen a lot of things say, oh, he's lost the dressing room. That didn't look like a team that were busted yesterday. That looked like a team that were fighting.
No. Okay. But for the past 5 games, it looks like he lost the dressing room.
But is that him losing the dressing room, or is it because you can't perform one week and then not the other 3? No, I know.
It looked like it. And it has looked shady as out there. And I'll go with part of what you said, but I'm going to disagree with part of it as well. Bollocks with the changes, mate. This is the first real game that you can see he's actually significantly changed his tactics and adapted to a game, And then my man has the audacity to come out and blame the fans, blame the mentality and everything.
He didn't blame the fans. He didn't blame the fans.
Hang on. He gave the fans stick yesterday. I'll read it out what he said in a minute. And he doesn't care about top 4, but he wants to win things. And then all of a sudden he does care about top 4, but he wants to win things and goes and makes 9 changes in a cup game against another Premiership team. He's made mistakes. And
agreed.
We have a game against Fulham. We're losing 3-0 before he does anything. Newcastle, no adapting. Even after the first goal, when you can see we're getting cooked the same way every time. Liverpool, he goes and sticks Chicken Royale against Salah, for God's sake. Arsenal, he goes and sticks Davis up against Saka. When all 3 of us on here and everyone on the side predicted spot for spot what was going to happen. Lo and behold, it happened. Not just the fact that it happens every game. It was just the fact you could read that one like a storybook. And then the game against Chelsea and everything. Well, hang on a minute, mate. Hang on a minute, Ange, Where was this temper and this winning mentality in these 5 games that actually meant something, that actually mattered, that actually had more to it than just getting us into 4th place and getting points? But with Chelsea and Arsenal, actually had that bit in our heart that we wanted it. And then all of a sudden he pulls his finger out and decides to make significant changes in a game against Man City that he blatantly knew a lot of fans wanted to lose.
But in defence to him, he's only really made changes when he's had to. Like he had to bring Skip in. He had to drop. I mean, let's face it, Sarr was playing striker yesterday. He had to do that because Richarlison was injured. So he's only made changes when he's had to, in my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion.
A lot of the times, you're right there.
With what you're saying about the passion, I completely agree. I completely agree with what you're saying, is in where was the passion for Arsenal, Chelsea. I agree with all of that. But sometimes you have to take a few knocks before you go, all right, we're going to push on here. Then the team don't. Oh, then you're going to push on here. And then the team don't. Eventually, he's got to come out. In my opinion, Conte did it, Mourinho did it, Poch did it, the way that he's done it. And I'm not saying that he hasn't made mistakes. He's made loads of mistakes. Me and you said this ages ago. But we said ages ago, let's go to 3 at the back. So I said last stream I was on, let's go 3 at the back. But in the same time, I think if he's won in everywhere he's been doing his thing, at least let's back him and see if he wins doing his thing before he has to change. Arteta never changed. For the first 2 years, they got pumped every single season. They finished 8th and 8th. We're 5th. Even if you want to
games. He did
after, because he was playing. I'm not sure 100%, but he was playing midfielders at centre back because he didn't want to play the guy that they sold. Sorry, it's gone off me. But they were playing midfielders in defence, and they were getting beat every week. And everyone's going, "What's this guy doing? Why is he doing that?" But it's only now he can adapt because he's got a whole team and subs where he's been backed. Same with Pep. Pep did the same thing. Only the last 2 seasons has he adapted. He come out and said, "I had to adapt to Haaland and I had to adapt to Grealish."
I think you're missing the word that I'm trying. I'm not the best on explaining words. What I mean by adapt.
No.
Change your formation. You haven't got.
I agree.
Your system of play. Maybe you've just got to say that. Well, hang on a minute. Davis is shit, and we need to cover that back more. And instead of playing him inverted, which he shouldn't have even played him anyway, he should have tried sticking Dragusin there or swapped and stuck Van der Ven there, which I didn't want him to do. I wanted him.
Neither did I.
And but it actually worked out that it looks all right. And right, you don't invert. You cover the left back more. We'll leave it to Porro. Keep doing your thing, and we'll stretch it off to a 3 at the back sort of thing.
Agreed.
Little things like that. Okay, it can adapt the whole way you're playing, but this is what I mean by adapting. I don't mean he has to change his whole formation.
No, and I agree with you because I want the same. I think yesterday was a prime example that 3 in the back would just be unbelievable for us, and give Udogie and Porro the free roam to do wwhatever they wanted, in my opinion.
Basically, if we played Conte style, it would suit this team to a T. But I'm going to have to stop 100%, mate, because it would, wouldn't it? And it showed it yesterday. It's quite shocking, really. This team has got Conte style written all over it. All right, Lily White, how you doing, mate?
Not bad, thanks. Dan, yourself?
The same Spurs, different day. I suppose just different things to talk about. Right, I'll ask you the same questions as I asked the others then, seeing as you're not that far behind. Forgetting what Ange said after and everything, we will go to that. Your opinion on yesterday, the fans' mentality, the game, how it went, everything. Go for gold, mate. Your turn.
I think we played fairly well, in all honesty. I think we created some good chances, and if we put them away, it could have been a different scoreline. And look, I get both sides of the fans. I get fans who wanted us to win yesterday. I get fans like myself who would have preferred it if Manchester City win. Let's hope we're never in this position again. But I look at it as, where was this fight against Arsenal? Where was this fight against Chelsea? Yet the players step up yesterday.
Newcastle, Liverpool,
and exactly, yeah. And then can't understand why fans, want the opposition to win. Arsenal were on the verge of winning their first league title, I think, in 20 years, right? I'm a young generation fan, so maybe, I haven't seen enough, but I haven't seen Arsenal be successful. That's one of the only things I've been able to cling on to as a Spurs fan. Whilst we've been absolute dog shit, so have they, right? So have they. But if we went on yesterday to win that game, what would have we got? A 30-minute high where we're quite chuffed, and then we're watching Lego Man on Sunday lift the Premier League. And for 20 years, like winning the league at White Hart Lane, it will be talked about how we gifted them the league title. And for me, I'm someone who doesn't really want top 4. But if the players are striving for that and that's what they really want, why do you not show the fight against Chelsea, who were a team competing for European football?
And he says he weren't bothered about top 4, and then he complains about it. One quick thing, I just have to stop you quickly because it's just coming to my mind quickly on there. Tony Rodriguez, who always comes on, is appreciated. If I am remembering right, it's your birthday. So happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday, mate.
And we all try to sing the birthday song.
Yep, and Lily White, sorry to interrupt you there, but it just jumps. I just remembered it. So carry on with what you're saying. Sorry.
Can I ask Lily White about his opinion before you move on? Can I ask you about your opinion?
Go on then.
I just want to ask. Obviously, you said about where was the fight and stuff, and I agree with that. But Ange has come out and said even your players that you agree with are going to be leaving in the summer. Could that be some of the reason? Like, is he on the same page as us, and they're not fighting for him rather than it be him?
Potentially. I think there's definitely players you can see that want to be at the club and ones that don't. But what frustrated me the most yesterday, as I say, was I listened to his comments, and he can talk cryptically sometimes. And if he is talking about the ownership, when he talks about, you know, the club and the foundations, fair enough, I agree. But it came across like he was talking about the fans with some of his post-match comments. And I don't like that. I don't like that because the fans would have been fully behind that side yesterday if we beat Arsenal. We're not fighting for anything. We can't win anything this season. So why would we want them lot to win the league title when really, I mean, top four as well. There was an outside chance bit. But what happens if we get top four, right? Hear the Champions League music. The owners are all chuffed and happy because it's more profit for them. And then we get knocked out by a team that's so many years ahead of us. You know, it's just frustrating for me. And I've seen a lot of fans have a go at fans like me. I wasn't cheering on Man City yesterday. I didn't celebrate when they scored goals, but I also didn't want us to win. Yeah, fair enough. But I didn't want us to win. But I don't like when fans like me are criticised for that. And it's not just, you know, worrying about the banter or whatever. It's football tribalism, which is a big part as to why I love football.
Yes.
It's going in and bantering with your mates and having a good laugh and stuff. I would have never heard the end of it from Arsenal fans. Never heard the end of it. And as I say, if we got a result against Chelsea, got a result against Arsenal, we wouldn't have had to worry about yesterday. The players and the manager put themselves in that position and then can't understand why the fans don't want their biggest drive was to win a league when we can't.
The biggest
Let me
problem,
give you a quick point then. Hang on a sec, Adrian, and I'll come to you, yeah? Point I make here, with just the games, like there was other games in that, but the latest ones, yeah? Fulham, Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, yeah? Really? We should have got 3 points with Newcastle. They had a destroyed team. Totally destroyed. They didn't even have, I think, 4 or 5 of their main players in that team, including their keeper and that. And we go and get absolutely hammered by them. Fulham, we should be doing them. Nope, we get smashed by them. Arsenal, okay. They're better than us, and that's all there is to it. Chelsea, I know Stamford Bridge ain't our place in that, but I think we should have squeezed a point out of that. And Liverpool, they weren't at their best either, but they absolutely schooled us as well. So let's just say we could have squeezed 6 points out of that. We'd now be sitting a point clear in 4th place. But my man wants to win. And he's complaining about the fans' attitude. Well, I'm sorry, mate. Pull your fucking finger out your ass and maybe we wouldn't be in this situation. Maybe just a different opinion. Adrian, go for what you say.
I think that's harsh.
Yeah, I do as well. Listen, Ange, to start a season, lose your best striker in the world, right? To finish 5th with all the injuries and suspensions we've had, I think he's done a good job. And I'm going to back him all.
It's not a poor job. It's not a poor job finishing 5th. I'm not saying it is.
I'm going to tell you what's wrong with this squad.
I think it's a great job.
Yeah. No one's mentioned this in any podcast, and I've been saving it to see if someone would come up with it.
Okay.
The problem with our squad, we have too many passive players and not enough aggressive players. And fans complain when the likes of Romero gets sent off. If you look at aggressive players are winners by nature. You'll see them in the old days. They'll be, if there's another opponent, ball goes out of touch, you're not sure who's the throwing to. You see the aggressive player wrestle with the opponent for the ball and all that. You see that aggressive players are winners. They might pick up yellow cards. I don't care. I want aggressive players on their side. When we've won trophies, we've had a majority of aggressive players in their team. You look at that squad, you got Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, Vicario, Bentancur, 5 players that I consider aggressive out of 25 in the squad. The rest are passive.
Say all of them.
And if those 5 are not on point, we're in trouble. We're in trouble because they've got the aggression. They want to win the ball, get it down on the deck and play it. We need to bring in more players that have got a bit more bite in them, right? If I could name different Spurs squads that had more bite, you know, back in the day, that had more bite than this squad, right? Mm-hmm. In midfield especially, you got Bentancur. Or you could add Højbjerg if he was going to stay, right? But
he's useless. He's so bad.
Flores, and even like Porro can get pushed off the ball easy. If Skip gets a rare game, he gets pushed off the ball. You look at him, Maddison gets pushed off the ball, right? We have too many of those players that do that. You know, we need to up. That's the main thing. And when Ange has had to juggle his squad, right, and he's had to put players in, he knows. I'm glad he's angry. I'm glad he's mouthing off. Bob Wilson, he's on a 4-year contract. He's not going nowhere. Don't worry about that, fans. And neither any players are on contracts that I'd like to see go. But
I don't know. With comments you made yesterday, Adrian.
No,
we'll go over to that one.
Passion's on a game, and him feeling probably under pressure. He's got to go and say, we've got to win this game, right, to the players. And they came out and they played for him, right? It was a good game. I enjoyed the game. Don't like losing. I wanted to win it. Right, I wanted us to win a game. I want us to win every game. I wouldn't leave my front door. I mean, I'm lucky I only live a mile and a half from the stadium. I wouldn't leave my front door and go at that game as the season to go if I thought we were going to lose. But that's my passion of watching it. Right. And I watched the doubles. Okay. Right?
Ange, Adrian, you know what? Solid point, mate. Solid point on the aggressive. It's just I think you gave us more credit than we were actually due on the aggressive side. But solid point, mate. You're 100% right there. I'll give you that one all the way, mate. I can't debate it. I can't question it. The only thing I will question is that I think you named too many players. I think for aggression, pure aggression, not will of winning, but aggression, anger in that team. I think we've got two players and two players only, and that's Romero and Højbjerg. Whether Højbjerg shit or not,
Vicario.
No,
Vicario's got it.
No.
Yeah, he's always when you go to the games,
no. Let me stop you there, bollocks. Yeah, if he's that aggressive, why is he getting touched up on the bloody goal line and not complaining about it?
Yeah, but that's not down to him. That's down to the defenders to protect him. The defenders need to protect him. It's not all down to him.
James. If he had aggression, yeah, like Pickford, and the player starts touching him up, Pickford would grab him up. Get the fuck off me, boy. What are you doing? Vicario stands there and puts his head down. That is not aggression, what I call aggression. He might have the mouth for it, I'll go with that. But physically, he is not aggressive enough as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree. Like more vocal. Yeah.
What you mean? He's got the winning mentality side of it, but he's
got aggression to our team. More towards our team. He's got aggressive.
He has to stand up for himself when he's being bothered when he's taking corners coming in. He has to be, Yeah,
I agree.
He has to show more strength. He needs to show he has that power to overcome all this nonsense. When people are tugging on his gloves, the Velcro straps and all that, he should just push Ben White away, right? Sure, you ain't gonna do that to me. You understand? But that's maybe one thing he has to learn, because this is the Premier League, right? Premier League players are not, they're at a different level. They will do things to actually mentally screw you up. So he must have that mental strength and that, aggressive kind of, a defensive kind of aggressiveness that this is my area. Nobody comes into this area. It's my area.
But Eugene, you've got to be fair to him. It's his first year in England. It's his first year. We always give players more than 1 year to adapt to the Prem. So I reckon after this year, he'll learn a lot.
Yeah.
No, I disagree. I think he needs more.
No, James, and he needs to bulk up a bit. You get what I'm saying?
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. The only thing I'm giving him is his first season, and I was more talking about like aggressive, as in the will to win towards our players, like the fight to want to get the 3 points.
I was saying that's the difference of what Adrian said. Whereas
agreed.
He's not an aggressive player, but he's aggressive in the will to win. Same as what I put Vicario on. If you want physical aggression, Højbjerg and Romero. And maybe Porro, maybe. Apart from that,
Porro, good point.
Maybe
for me.
Apart from that,
saying about
there's no physical aggression in there of where.
No, agreed.
If I ain't getting the ball, I'm going to take you out for the sake of the game, sort of thing. There's no bollocks in there, apart from two and possibly one others. I think Adrian made a bang on point with what he said there. But go on, carry on what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I completely agree with what you're saying. The only thing I would say about like what we're saying about top four and is it a good season or is it a bad season? When you look at our front three, if you're being nice, is top bottom 5 in the Premier League. If you're being nice, I'd swap our front three for West Ham, Brentford, Villa, United, Chelsea. So how can we expect to be higher than top 5? But that is the only thing I don't understand. I can only back him once he's been backed, or judge him once he's been backed. Our front three is awful. Our front three wouldn't even get into the Championship, and I include Son in that. Son has been our worst player the last 10 games, hands down. He's been awful.
But one point I will give you with this. One point I will give you this before I go on to Stel. All right, mate. I hope you're doing good. Is the fact that to an extent he has been backed, because he got over 200 million spent on him with players that he picked by his words. His words, not mine.
He's got to say that though, hasn't he? He's got to say that.
Okay, well, then the man's just another fucking puppet and he might as well leave the club.
Every Prem manager is the same.
No, they're not. No, not quite like that, yeah?
Do you think Arteta wanted Gabriel? Did Arteta want that Gabriel?
Right, but did Arteta stand there and say, every player that comes in here, I picked them, I wanted them? No, he's an idiot for saying that.
He said he has the final say and they have to go by him. He didn't say he picked them, because there's no way he went to the board and said, Timo Werner is who I want.
If he says I have the final say, he's saying I picked him, because he could have said no to him.
But what if Levy went up to him and said, look, you've got the choice of Timo Werner or this guy in a second Dutch league? And he went, well, I might as well have Timo Werner because I'm short in that position.
No,
that's the difference to picking.
I totally get your point, yeah? And I totally get even why we put Werner in there for the meantime, yeah? I totally get it. I totally understand it even, not just get it. But he should not have stood there and said, every player here, I have the last say. They're my pick, basically. Like Johnson, who some people like to big off, who's been fucking crap most of the season, bar 10 minutes here and there, yeah? He made that, he shot himself in the foot there. He shot himself in the foot when he blatantly stated that I'm not bothered about top 4. I want to win things. And then at the end, he's basically getting the ump that we're not in top 4. He shot himself in the head.
I think he's trying to change the mentality though as well. You can't come in as a manager and go, oh, my aim is top 4. That just presumes that you're a Levy lover and you're just a loser. If he comes in and says I want to win the league, he's aiming for the big stuff. He wants to win, not top 4 is my ambition.
But he doesn't have to say that last word. If he came in and said at the start of the season to everyone, right, this year I'm gonna aim to get in the top 4. Being realistic, people would have said, good luck, but okay, mate, fair play. And then he says, following season, I definitely want to be in that top 4 and go for a cup. And then the season after that, I want to be winning a cup and ready to go for the trophy, ready to go for the top. Who would have complained about that?
Me. Because he's just instilling the same crap that Levy is. We have to get top 4 money, top 4. The fact that he's coming and saying the opposite, I think is a breath of fresh air. Whether it happens or not, listen, there's two different kettle of fish. Because he said, I want to win the top 4, I want to win the league, I want to go for the league next season. I'm not holding him over the throat by saying, yeah, if he don't win it, he's fouled. We should be aiming for that.
Well, but then there's realism in it as well. And if him saying that, it was like he shot himself in the foot with that, because practically everybody knew that's not going to happen. But now we've got
to aim for it. No, but why? So if you aim for the top and you fall short, you're still aiming for greatness. If you're aiming for top 4 and you get top 4, then what? What is that teaching the players? What ethos and mentality and philosophy is that teaching the players? Right. If you come forth, we've succeeded. We're all losers.
Right, before I go to Stel, I'll bring you up a point and I'll counter you on what you said earlier. We were talking about managers adapting. You said, if I mark the words properly, that Arteta didn't adapt for 2 games and started adapting after 3 games and everything else, yeah? Season, sorry. Yeah. Bad.
Yeah. But yeah. No worries.
So if Ange needs to adapt and get the team in he needs, and we know that's going to take excess of 2 seasons, 4 transfer windows, whatever, then why is he standing there saying I'm going for the title when we're barely even ready for top 4? If he would have just said, I'm going to aim for the top 4 this year, go for a trophy and get in that top 4 again, and then I'm going to go for that league when I'm ready, I think fans would have been more accepting over that instead of just sitting here saying we're going for the trophy next year.
No, I agree with you, but in my opinion, that's where we've been going wrong the whole time. Aiming for top 4 is aiming to be the 4th loser. That's how I look at it. I think if you aim for top 4, you're aiming to be the 4th loser. And there is something wrong with that because I want to win. I don't want.
Yes, but you've got to walk before you run. He's already talking about sprinting before he's even got out of nappy.
Yeah, but what I think he's trying to do is he's trying to change the mentality, not just for us, not for the players, but the board. If he's saying to the board, "Look, I want to win next year," and they give him Timo Werner, that doesn't look bad for me. That doesn't look bad on on Ange. That looks bad on the club. We want to win, and he signs Timo. I'm putting the angle all in one direction. In my opinion, that's my opinion. I would rather aim high and foul than aim low and get what we want. Like that's 4th loser.
Fair enough. No, it's opinionated at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My side of it is I would rather take it one step at a time and be honest on what you're going for and not just chat bullshit to us. Stel, welcome on the show, mate. Good to see you again. And basically, I'll ask you the same question as everyone else first, and then we'll take it from there. Yesterday, without what Ange said after, your mentality, your opinion on the mentality of the fans, the game, and everything else, just quickly over.
Mentality on. Am I allowed to be honest, or do you want me to be a bit?
Say it how you see it, mate. No, on this show, mate, you say it how you fucking see it. That's what you're here to do.
I think the biggest problem, bar none, is that moron of a chairman, Daniel Levy. I think the second biggest problem is our fan base, which is going to rattle everyone and upset everyone. I think they're a massive problem. I said it 2 years ago, and now Ange is calling out the fans. So if you like Ange, then you agree with what I said 2 years ago. I think our managers are problems. I think they are a problem. And I think the media absolutely loves this because we are a circus giving that feeds into the viewing figures. It gives them a soap opera. We are the most sellable club to be laughed at and abused across football. And the media they've got us wrapped around their little finger. You look at Daniel Levy. He's had 17 managers, 7 football directors, 3 head scouts. What we fucking won? The Carabao Cup. That's got nothing to do or doesn't even resemble the history of this great club. Bill Nick, even Terry Venables, Keith Berkham, all the managers that have been successful, even the ones that came close, none of them visaged Tottenham to look like this. None of them. But here we are with this chairman who wants to build hotels, luxury apartments, and whatever's coming next. That's where his mind's at. We're the 8th richest club in world football for revenue. Yet we pay the 7th highest wage bill in the Premier League. Aston Villa aren't even in the top 20 highest revenue generating clubs in world football, not even in the top 20, but yet they pay higher wages per year than Spurs. That's why they're above us, because they can pay the players wages that we're not prepared to pay. So when you see crap like Werner's, Johnson's, Villas, Solomon's, all this shit at Spurs, it's because that's what we're prepared to pay. Rather than saying we're going to buy 4 or 5 players, good players, and put them all on top wages because that's what good players deserve. No. We'll take a punt with a Chicken Royale. We'll take a punt with a Sergi Reguilon. We'll take a punt with Fraser Foster. You know, that starts from the top because it happened under Hitchin, Paratici, Kamoli. That happens under every manager, every football director. So people that want to do the whole finance argument and the whole football argument of FFP and this and that, park it. The facts are there to be seen. Then we move on to the managers. They all accept the job. If you haven't seen enough evidence over 25 years to see how this club runs, then you're blind to not know what you're walking into. How can Conte not know what he's walking into? How can Mourinho not know what he's walking into? How can Nuno, Ryan Mason, Stellini, Ange, how can you not know what you're walking into? Look at what goes on. So what happens is they think they can do a better job and that the managers weren't quite at it. But then when reality hits them, they start contradicting themselves. When things were good, do you remember what Ange said to us? Let fans feel how they want. If they think we can win the league, let fans feel how they want. Let fans feel what.
Let them dream.
So now, So now, when I want to lose to Man City, because I don't want to live the next 20 years of my life being told, you won us the league at Shite Hart Lane from Arsenal fans, that's how I feel, Ange. Why can't I feel how I want now? When it suits you, feel how you want. When it doesn't suit your agenda, I'm going to go after the fans. But it's not just Ange. Conte buckled under the pressure. Mourinho, they all do these. So I look at the managers. You've walked into a job that you've completely underestimated, and you flip-flop on what you say. When it suits you, other managers, I don't want to hear it when they can't play the football because of the players. Just give it a go, mate. Now, the players aren't good enough to play the football. I need to rebuild the players. We've got problems inside the club, outside the club, everywhere. Okay, we've been saying this for what, 5-6 years, some of us? And then the fans, look, I'll be careful with the fans because at the end of the day, we're loyal and we give everything we can to this club because we want it to be great. I don't think there's a single Spurs fan that doesn't want to see us be great. But the division amongst us, we want City to win. No, we want Tottenham to win. Brennan Johnson's good. No, he's shit. Werner's a good signing. He's an absolute joke. The front three, they're not bad. Give them time. No, the front three are awful. They're championship players. That's what James was saying. I agree with James, by the way, on this one, about the front three. We can't.
It is shocking.
We argue over everything. And the reason we argue over everything is because we can't unite behind the one thing we need to unite behind. What this chairman has done to us. Look what he's turned us into. Dan, what is happening right now, and I'll end my rant. What is happening right now, we've seen it every single season. I can't speak for your channels, guys, but I'm pretty confident you're probably similar. On Tottenham away, we've been saying this for months and months and months, and we've been saying this is going to unravel because we can see the same patterns we've seen for the last 5-6 years. Nothing has changed. The PR, the media, they don't fool me. I do not get fooled by them anymore. My eyes, I look and I see. I knew this was going to happen. We said this was going to happen. And that little rant of his last night, the pressure's hit him because the board are saying, Ange, we need top four, you know. Top four is what we do here, and that's where the money is. And if you want backing, you've got to give us something back, get us top four. And Ange's thinking, shit, how can I get top four with these players? They're shit. I told the world I wanted them. So what does he do? He has a pop at us for not backing them. What? We're the reason you lost to Man City. Why did you play those stupid zonal marking tactics for set pieces against Arsenal when we could have stopped Arsenal?
Why did you only change him in the second half against Burnley, for fuck's sake?
Why did you do man-to-man marking against Man City? If you did that against Arsenal, we wouldn't have lost to Arsenal and it wouldn't have come to this. Why did you drop the defence a bit lower? You dropped the defence a bit lower against Man City. Do it against Arsenal when we could have stopped them. But look, I'm not going to blame Ange because he never knocked on the front door and said, hey, Tottenham, are there any jobs going? I'm looking for work. I'm unemployed. We headhunted him. We scouted him because he's a yes man. He only costs £2 million a year and he's friendly with the media. Tick, tick, tick. Conte, now he said it as it was. Cross, cross, cross. He was a high risk and it turned out to be risky, right? Do I think Conte was the best manager and his football was the right way forward for us? And it's up for debate, but I don't care. I don't care. No manager works at this club under Levy and this will fail. In my view, unless a miracle happens and this summer we bring in some proper talent, like many of us have been saying, and start accepting that most of this squad is bang average. It is so bang average and we've hyped it up. So look, I blame the chairman. I think fans need to take a long, hard look at themselves. The managers, they're walking into it every single time. They've got to look at themselves. But the whole thing, man, the culture comes from the top. You look at this country, look at the government. You look at London, look at the mayor. You look at a successful business and an organisation that wins lots of awards, look at the owners. Everything starts at the top. And after 25 years, I don't even know how this is an argument anymore. How is this even a debate? I'm lost. So
it's true. The thing is that, right, us fans, right, should unite under one thing. We want to win trophies. We want to win titles, but we can't even get that, Stel. You know, we've seen that. You know,
Eugene, because we've all got a different view of how to get there. Some want it done only playing good football.
Care.
Some want it done with a manager that they can relate to. Some want it done the way that isn't
Agreed.
spending big money. Some want it done as a project. Some want it done win now. We do not agree on how to get there. That's the problem. We've all got a different way of how we want it done because it
And
suits
you know
how
what?
we feel.
And
I just don't think that they've
got.
got a backbone. I just don't think they've got a backbone. It's like, it's like when you was young and you was dating that girl. The way I describe Spurs fans is the smitten in love with the hot girl, the shagging everyone every weekend, and you just accept it because you're a Spurs fan. It's like, well, I'm in love, so I'm just going to stay there no matter what. She's out doing whatever she wants. Levy is out doing everything he wants, and it doesn't matter what Spurs fans say. They're like, I love Tottenham. I'm Tottenham. He's robbing us blind. I have to pay 60, 70 quid for a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. He's robbing us blind, and we're all here like, I love Tottenham. I do not care what you do to me. I'm a Tottenham fan, and that's the problem with Spurs fans. No one will stick up and say, actually, I fucking demand more. Give me more.
Yeah, I've been saying this, right? We've got
I
Stockton syndrome.
totally agree. I totally agree. So what I'll ask everyone, and Lily White, I'll come to you first, mate. So with the comments Ange made afterwards yesterday, even to the point where he turns around and storms up to the fan behind him and has a go at him. Now, right, if the fan behind him saying throw the game, okay, that's going to piss you off a bit. Maybe I'll give him a bit of leeway on that one, yeah? But knowing what was going on in that game, knowing what was in people's heads in that game, and then the way it was like he almost snapped in front of the press. We've seen no pressure on him, basically. We've not really seen no emotion out of him, no nothing, and then all of a sudden, bang, the shit hit the fan. What's going on with this man? What's happening? What do you think about what he said yesterday? How he's acted in general with the press, about Ange as a manager, and he's talking as whole before the games, during the season, and after that game yesterday.
So that's true, right? I'm surprised. Let
Lily White talk.
No, sorry, go ahead, Robbie.
I think he says a lot of things that I agree with, but he talks so much that often he contradicts himself on things. And yesterday, I get that he's wanting us to win, to go in the right direction, but he's wanting us to win, to compete for a top 4 place that a few months ago he said he couldn't care about, and it's more about building something. And my thing is, what would have winning last night actually told us that we didn't already know? That we can put in a good performance. We saw that at the beginning of the season, that we can beat a team like Man City. We've beaten a couple of top teams this season, as well as being thrashed by other ones. And if we would have won, it would have been a short-term high for 30 minutes. And Sunday, we would have been watching them not win the league. I think when he talks about the foundations of the club being fragile, I hope that he's talking about the ownership, the players. I think he's talking about a collective, really. I think he's talking about the ownership, the players, but also talking about the fans, which from a personal point of view, I don't like it, because it's clearly frustrated him seeing some fans, having a go, or not having a go at the team, but almost cheering on Man City and not wanting Spurs to win a game. And it goes to show to me that a majority of managers at the top level in football, they just don't understand tribalism from certain fans. And people who have grew up in North London and grew up in England and grew up all across the world supporting Spurs for many years, you don't want to see your rivals go on and win the league and get bantered for it for so long. I've got so many Arsenal mates, and I'd never hear the end of it. And I want us to go in the right direction. I think we all do. Now, am I sure that we are? I think there's positives to take from this season, and it's not been a bad season. But I don't think a lot's changed really when we look at it at the end. But I think overall, he's calling out the club as a collective, which I understand and I want with the ownership. I want with the players. But when it comes to the fans, I think yesterday you've just read the room a little bit more. I get that pre-match he's not going to come out and say we're going to throw it, or I completely understand the fans and this, that. But at the same time, just to speak the way that he did, it shows me that a lot of top-level managers and people higher up in football, they just don't understand what tribalism means.
I mean, with him being at Celtic, for God's sake, you'd think he'd fucking understand it with Celtic and Rangers. I think that's nearly as tribal as Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, for God's sake.
No, I think he understands that, Dan. But the problem is that, right, I was actually confused when he says that in the past 48 hours, I've discovered something. And I was going, what? You've been in this club, right, running this club, the squad, being with the management people and all that. and only you realize in the past 48 hours, right? We are fragile, and we are fragile inside, outside, and everywhere. My God, why the past 48 hours? You should know that when you stepped in the club. You've seen Mourinho, you've seen Conte, you've seen all these top elite managers, right, get screwed by our owners or Daniel Levy, right? And now you just
Eugin, the pressure's been put on him from above to get top 4. And he's looking at the fan base who are pushing back on that, saying, hold on, we'd rather not give Arsenal the league. And he's stuck in the middle. And what he's trying to do is still be on board with the fans, but at the same time, he's a professional. He wants to win. Like I've got no issue with him having to go at the fan behind the dugout. No. If a fan's giving him shit, fucking give him some back, right? Because
but
the board are putting pressure on him. Stel, it happens to every manager at Spurs.
No, Stel, but if the board was pressuring him for him to get top 4, right? Why did he do the things they did in Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool? He should have adapted to try and get
Robbie said he's contradicting himself. I agree.
But I completely disagree, because we just said that our front three are championship level, and now we're expecting to go away to Newcastle and win. We're expecting to beat Chelsea. We're expecting to get points against Arsenal. Make up your mind. You can't say our front three is absolutely trash, and then I expect.
Hang on. Let James finish his point. Eugene, let James finish his point, then we go to you.
But whether we spend enough money on them or not, it doesn't mean they're good players. They're crap. Brendan Johnson, Timo Werner, and I think Son has actually been our worst player for the last 10 to 12 games. I think he's been awful.
Who signed Timo Johnson, James? Who signed them?
The club. My opinion personally is the club. It wasn't him. I don't believe that he went out and went, I want this player.
If the club signed those players and not Ange, right? Then why isn't he calling them out and saying? Because remember Conte, hear me out, James, 1 second. Because remember Conte, when we signed Spence, Conte made it very clear. It's not my signing. It's a club signing. They want him. So Conte called it out when it happened. Whereas Ange has done the opposite. He said, I have the final say. And this is the conflict we've got as fans.
But my opinion, he didn't come out straight away and say, like, Spence was signed, and he goes, right, that isn't it's a club signing.
Yes, he did.
He didn't cut.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Conte came out
the first day he signed.
Yes.
No, it was like 2 months later when he weren't playing him. They said, why are you playing him?
No, James, it weren't.
No,
James, I love you, brother.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a few months after.
No, straight away.
He said it on the day. I can't remember the exact words, but he literally said, no, this ain't my boy.
Let me get back to
okay. I'm wrong.
Conte's the only one that's done that. All the other managers have said yes. Yes. You know,
the thing is that what I'm trying to say is, right, if the board is pressuring him to get top 4, right, he should be doing things to try to get top 4 and not like experimenting all the time. You get what I'm saying? But now you bring us into that juncture. He put himself in this shit. He put himself in this MCD shit.
But Ange doesn't care about top 4, Eugene. Ange doesn't care about top 4.
No, but
the pressure is on him to get it. This is the conflict. The manager knows what he wants to do. He wants to build a winning team. He wants to do it his way, develop the system, even if it means taking some hits. But the boards, they're not. This is why I've freaking been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks. When Arteta was in a difficult situation, Stan Kroenke, Josh Kroenke, they came out and they said, Arteta's the man. We've picked him. We're backing him. We're going to give him the money he needs. And then straight after that, Arteta said, trust the process. Where's Levy? Where's Donna Cullen? Where's Lange? Where's Paratici? Where's Scott Munn? Back your man. Give the fan that confidence that this guy is here for the long term and you're going to back him. But instead, it's another manager in the firing line and he can't handle it. He can't handle it because
he can't handle it. That's the thing.
No manager.
When has our board of our owners have actually come out to back a manager throughout all these 24 years? They've never done it.
I know.
So we don't expect them to do it. So that's why I know Ange is feeling the pressure. But why are you telling out in the press conference in the past 48 hours, right? I've discovered, right? Spurs is a fragile, in, out, everywhere, up the butt, whatever. Oh, sorry, Robbie. The butt.
And you're like, and you're basically saying to the man, no shit, Sherlock. You should have seen this a while ago. Adrian, you've been quiet there for a while, mate. Everything that's going on and being said at the moment. Your opinion?
Don't blame Ange for having a go at the fan. I mean, I think with Ange, we don't know his mindset, do we? We're trying to interpret like his meaning right? Now,
We
for
only
me,
know
what I
what he
get from it,
tells us.
yeah, exactly. I mean, at least he gives better interviews and press conference than previous managers. All they did was give us cryptic press conferences. Maybe he should say less. He has contradicted himself.
Yes, he should.
But you know, but I mean, I've got faith in him. I'll give him next year. I mean, we can talk about all the ills at the club past, all the ills past, even present. But you know, the only solutions to our problems are in the transfer window, really. And this summer will be very telling. They will be his signings. I mean, what I have seen is that we have recently brought in some better players than we had that we've let go. You know, when your Sissoko's went and that, you know, and Bergwijn, players like that. So we've done what we've done is actually, as an old saying from Samuel Clements, we've actually failed better recently, but we've got a long way to go. I mean, we need 8 players. We need 8 players, in my opinion.
Adrian, sorry to stop you there. I just think Rich here has made a solid point. What Ange actually said last night, a lot of it was actually pretty cryptic, because I don't think any of us can actually work out exactly what he meant by a couple of the words he used.
Danny Murphy and what's his name, Jordan, this morning, Simon Jordan, they did a 20-minute show.
That's
on
right.
this,
I heard that.
and they both said that it's too cryptic. They can't understand what he means by fragility inside and outside the club. They said outside they think it's fans, but inside they said it was very Conte-esque. But it was quite a good debate. You should watch it. But
no, I listened to it this morning. I listened to it. But go on with Adrian, what you were saying. But just the point I made, it was pretty cryptic last night, wasn't it?
We know that any manager, I mean, unless you're a Conte or a Marino, like they're exceptions, like you're gonna talk to the press. You're going to tell them what they want to hear. You're going to tell the fan base what they want to hear. You're not going to throw players under the bus. You don't criticise your own club. It's not a dumb thing. You'd be up in front of the board. So we know all that. And what they say in public and think in private is different. We've only had one season of Ange. Now, considering we're 5th, it's not a miracle as far as I'm concerned. Lose Kane, all the injury suspensions we have to be in 5th spot, you know, we're going to end the season well, right? We're going to end the season in Europe. Yeah, he's done all right.
He's done all right.
For someone who's never been in the Premier League, he's done all right. Has he been back? No, he hasn't. We bring in a player who's not oven ready.
Adrian, with what you said there, has he been backed? Well, he got in 9 players that he chose.
Not fully backed. He's not been.
No, there's a difference with he chose and he has the final say. That's a big difference, because there's no way he went out and went, I want Carlos Vinicius. Get me, not Vinicius. What's the guy that's now at Seville? The striker, Veliz. There's no way he went to the board and went, I want Veliz, get me Veliz. They probably went to him and said, these are all the stats, this is how he's doing, what do you think? And at last he probably thought, yeah, all right, well, we'll give that a go. There's no way he's going, there's a big difference in saying I want a player and having the final sort of, okay.
I know where you're going. But then when he's sitting there talking to us about winning titles next season, he sits there and thinks, yeah, I'm going to go for Johnson.
Do you know? Right, this James. This is why I've got a problem with the fans now. Right, this is why I blame the fans. Right, when we first brought this guy in, go on all the YouTube channels, go on all the podcasts, go and listen to what fans were saying. He's an expert in the Asian market. He's an expert in Australasia. He knows how to unearth the gems, the cheap ones. He's the perfect fit for Tottenham. Right now, what we're saying is something different. Right, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but again, you see how our fan base has built him up to be something that he's not. And when we look at the transfers now, we're saying, well, hold on, there's a big difference between saying that's my signing and signing off on it, which I agree with you, but that's not what our fans built him up to be.
Yeah, I agree.
This is why I look at us sometimes. I say, what's wrong with us? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves?
This is why, in my opinion, I hate Spurs fans. I can't actually have a good football conversation about people that are trying to stick up for Spurs fans or talk about Spurs fans. They're just full of shit. They're so full of shit. And by that, I mean, like what you're saying about when he come in, this and that. How do they know? They ain't got a clue. They've seen him for 1 year at Celtic or 2 years at Celtic, whereas I just, yeah. What he said yesterday, going back to what Adrian said to you,
when he says the facts to you of what he is saying, you take it in gospel. Because you know
who does? No,
Look,
I don't. I think with what Adrian said, though, with what Adrian said,
one point. So, do you think he said what he said because he had to?
no, I think he said what he said because everybody else is thinking it. Like, I think he's like same as us because we're here. We've just criticised the fans. He criticised the fans. We criticised the board. He criticised the board. He's criticising the players. We criticise the players. But yet we're having a go at him for criticising everything that we're criticising. How does that make sense? How can we have a go at somebody for criticising everything that we're criticising and go, he's the problem? Like, what he said is wrong. But we're all saying the same thing.
Because he's already contradicted himself, for fuck's sake, about 5 times.
Dan,
Maybe he should have kept his mouth shut in the future.
Don't you think that sometimes with Ange, but don't you think sometimes with Ange, right? Sometimes he just says what is the right thing to say. Sometimes he says how he really feels. And other times he's just frustrated and doesn't know what to do and he makes a mess of it. Which is kind of what I saw with Conte, Poch, Nuno, Mourinho. I just think this club, I personally want to stick with Ange, and I'll tell you why. Because one, if he goes, it's going to be Ryan Mason, and I swear to God, I'll blow the stadium, or I'll blow myself. I'll do something, I'll just lose it.
Don't do that.
And two, I'll lose it if I see Ryan Mason again. And two, if we get rid of Ange, what we're basically saying is we're going to take all the heat off Levy again. Whereas if Ange stays, maybe we will put pressure as a fan base to say, Levy, back him, because I'm hearing a lot of YouTube channels that don't ever talk about Levy now saying, well, we're looking at you now, Levy. You got the stadium, you got the revenue. Back your man. We want to see some good signings. So I think Ange is the best chance we've got at the moment of forcing Levy's hand.
No, Stel, I've been always saying, right, Ange, right, this season has been brought in, right, to be Levy's deflecting shield. You guys say not? Have you not noticed, right? We've been Levy out, right? Until the Conte debacle, and now Ange comes in, and we all are on board of it, and the Levy out has simmered out a bit, and it's been now it's gone. It's like a deflection. Now there are a lot of people going Ange out, but like you and I, right? We know we can't have Ange out because if we go Ange out again, it's just wash, rinse, and repeat all over again.
Ange wanted Johnson and he wanted Werner, and I'll tell you for why, right? You don't give Brennan Johnson a debut away to Arsenal if you don't like the player or don't want the player. You don't give Werner as many games as he's got if you didn't. I believe he agreed. I could be wrong, but I believe we agreed with him because the amount of games they've had. And in training, although we've yet to see the Johnson, who's not oven ready, and I didn't want him. I didn't want Werner either. But in training, apparently, some players show a bit more on Johnson, and he loves Johnson. So I believe he wanted him in. Now, he might have a rethink since, but who knows? But I believe he wanted those players.
Then Adrian, if you're right, if you're right in what you've said, then Ange isn't fit for the Premier League because his scouting ability is shocking. Maybe in Celtic Johnson works, but at this level, when you're up against Guardiola, Rodri,
the caveat to that is Saliba looked at Johnson. We'd looked at Johnson the previous season. They would have had a discussion on it. You don't just they know Ange is going to bring a Britain title football to the club. You're going to consult him, so he's agreed it.
Yeah, but you said he wanted Johnson. So if he wanted Johnson and Johnson is flopping, then that is on Ange.
Yes,
if you're correct,
it is on him.
Then he's the problem.
He's not oven ready. He's still not oven ready, is he? He showed.
Well, let me debunk that though. Let me debunk that because Ange come out and said.
Hang on a sec, James. Let him finish. James. Let Adrian finish.
What Johnson's got, and I hope he comes right. I don't like us to waste money on players. I hope he turns it into be a blinding player. At the moment, he hasn't shown enough. But the difference between Johnson and Werner is Werner's reached his ceiling. He's never going to be a goal scorer, so he shouldn't be in the team. You need your wide players to get you 10 goals a season. I don't care how fancy or tricky a winger is or how good he is. Be the best take-on player on the planet. If you can't score goals, you shouldn't be in that front three. Simple, right? Whereas Johnson's got potential. He's got 5 goals, 7 assists, right? He's got potential. We need to see more of it. Lack of consistency with him. He's a 22-year-old kid, though. Remember, a lot of these players in this side of
Van der Ven's 23, Adogie's 21. They're doing fine. You know what I mean? It's like
true. That's true. That's true. But that doesn't work for everyone, does it?
Adrian,
but for
you're saying that he wanted.
Yeah,
But also, Adrian, you're saying he wanted Johnson. Yeah, you said he wanted Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, because
But no, let me answer that. He publicly come out and said Johnson was never meant to play this many games. He knows that Johnson is nowhere near ready for this team. And what he probably got offered is, we're going to bring this young lad in to play a bit part season. What do you think? And he's probably gone, I'll make do with him for 5-6 games a season. But you're here standing on the hill saying he wanted him.
Yeah,
He's come out and said, I didn't want him to play that many games. So he could have wanted him that much.
That's different to be saying whether he wanted him or not. You look at the systems he's played, wherever he's been. 2 wide hugging touchline wingers. So he wanted Werner and he wanted Johnson because they suit the system.
Johnson was a striker for Forest.
Yeah. Oh, he played midfield as well, isn't he? And
he played a bit over. He
played all over the place.
Games there. He's played in a few positions there. But he did play a striker as well.
Because he plays the system, he wanted the wingers, right? He wanted them. So that's down to him. Johnson is not other ready. The only thing he's got over Werner, he's got potential. He's got a higher ceiling than Werner. Werner hasn't got a ceiling, right? I don't want him at the club, right? But it doesn't matter what I think, does it? I'm only expressing an opinion, I mean, my opinion, I think we need 8 players. But, we won't get them all in the summer. So I want to see 4 good ones.
All I want to say on that point, is don't look through, take some things for gospel and then look through rose-tinted glasses at the other thing. You're saying he wanted Johnson, yet he come out and said he was never meant to play this many games. You're saying he has the final say. No, you're saying he has the final say on all signings. And then we signed Timo Werner. I don't believe he personally went up to him and said, I want Timo Werner. I believe it's presented. This is all we could get. We've got no money in January. What do you think? So you're kind of picking up the bad points, but then not sticking up for him when he's publicly come out and said the same thing. In my opinion. And I'm not saying Ange has been faultless. I've been saying for months we should go 3 at the back. But I'm just saying, Ange turn on our club like this. When they turn on the manager, it only ends in one way. And we give Levy what he wants, and we start all over again, and everything's positive. We have a new manager bounce, and so on and so on.
I don't want
Solomon had been fit.
Hang on a sec, Adrian. I don't want Ange out. Yeah, I just want to see him adapt and work with what he's got, and then make progression. And last night, I think he finally showed to me that he can adapt, but it's back to that point of why the fuck did you leave it till that game? Why couldn't you have done it in another 5 games before?
The fans got to him
where it mattered. So go on, Adrian, finish what you were saying. Sorry, mate.
Well, if Solomon had been fit, Johnson would have the game. So he knew that he was going to drip feed Johnson into that team. Unfortunately, due to injuries, suspensions and whatever, it hasn't turned out that way. I mean, he's not an oven-ready player. What gets me is you're paying, if this is another thing, whether the fees are 47 million with add-ons for a player who's not oven ready. We could have gone out and done better business, in my opinion, on that. So Werner, I think he was just come in. Perisic is gone now.
Stop that, basically.
Yeah, and I hate the term backup when we're Tottenham Hotspur. To mention the word backup, I mean, Alex nicked it off years ago. I hate that. We shouldn't be talking about backup players. We should be talking of building a squad. When you include your bench, you've got 9 on the bench. You can use 6 subs with a concussion sub. You should have at least 18 quality players in that squad. Then you can make a pathway for a couple of youngsters. Fair play from putting Mikey Moore on yesterday. I love that player.
No, that was a solid one. But so with all this that's going on now, yeah, and the way it was pretty cryptic what he said, and he definitely made digs at the fans, but in some ways with what he said, it did come across like he made digs at inside the club as well. Is it not looking like he's actually starting to break and that he could actually walk?
I don't think so, because if he walks after everything he said over the last month about this being his favourite bit and, building teams up and getting them to recover from hard places, then he's contradicting himself again. I don't think he will walk. I do think, though, if he's not back properly and given the tools, he'll be sacked by the end of the year. I don't want him to be. I want to see a Spurs manager like Conte and like Jose given the tools to build something at this club. And then if he's given the tools and doesn't succeed, fair enough. Okay, but I think with Ange Postecoglou for a first season, it's been okay. It's not been unreal. I think our expectations were raised by the good start. I don't think it's been terrible either. But for me, I'll judge him next season. And the minute I turn Ange out is if he's given the tools, he's given 3 quality players, I'd say, in positions we need, and there's no progress. But for me at the minute, I stick by him. I think there have been positives. There's just certain things he needs to pick up on. Why is us as fans calling out things for months, such as set piece defending, and he only starts to mention them himself months later? I mean, when he said about a month, I think it was a month ago, it may have been 3 weeks ago, when he said, if set pieces are a problem, we'll work on them. It's like, the way he said it, how have you not realised they've been a problem for so long? He's got to sort things out, in my opinion. He's got to find ways to tweak his system, like he did yesterday. If he did that against other teams, he would have got better results. But for me, I'll judge him next season. I don't think he'll walk, though, because then he just goes back on everything he said about digging teams out from tough positions.
And Dan, remember me, you, and Adrian were talking in the back room, right? We have this feeling, right? Ange is not a coach, right? He's not that top level kind of coach, but he's more of a manager.
He's a manager.
Yeah. So that's where all the flaws are. We are seeing it coming out because, and I was saying this, right? Ange moves from team to team, and he doesn't have a fixed squad of coaching staff that follows him throughout his career. He's always chopped and changed along the way. So that maybe is showing on when you come to the Premier League, right?
Who's the right manager for Spurs?
No, I'm not saying the right manager. I'm saying Ange is coming in without the proper coaching backing that he has. Right?
Okay, so who's got so what's the solution?
There's no right manager in Spurs. The only solution is Levy out, Inik out. That's all. Right? That's my solution.
So
because
we might as well stick with Ange then, because it doesn't matter.
We have to stick with Ange, right? Because it's so simple. We had Conte. Why didn't we back him? Why didn't we give him the players that he needs to actually win us things, right? We had Mourinho. 6 days before a cup final, sack him for what? So it's not.
Mate, it's the same thing. They come in, they're smiley, they're excited, they're full of energy. The press conference is amazing. 6 months in, a few questions are asked, and they find it a bit challenging, but they navigate through it. Then after 9 months to 12 months, they look broken. They're lashing out. They're snapping. This is what we were saying. I said it when I first come on. We've been saying this for months. The same pattern is happening again. But fans are so desperate for positivity, so desperate for
spotted it from day one.
So desperate to just get behind something that they're missing the bigger picture. Why is it happening every single time? The issue is what Eugin said. It's Levy out. Until he's gone, this shit will always stink. Sorry, guys.
That's the truth.
I can't argue it. And I don't think anyone on here can really argue it, because it is definitely looking like same Spurs, same shit, different.
We're not going to change, will it, until we have squad investment? If we don't bring that is the only solution. You know, a poor manager can work with Barcelona, right? Or Real Madrid. I mean, but we need what we need. The squad needs investment in it. I mean, and the thing is, we're going to keep having this argument, because if we get 4 players in and we need at least 8, we need a left back, a right back, left foot, centre back, 2 midfielders, and a front 3.
No. That one, Adrian, I disagree with you on. Yeah.
How many do we need then?
Now, I know we all see it different, but I think if we bring in 3, I mean, this is for me personally, 3 good players. I know we're not going to go out and get quality. He's already stated that we're going to go for quantity, not quality, basically. He's already basically said that, and we know that's what Spurs do. But if we went and bought in 3 good players who can go right wing, DM, striker, there you go. Right, we might not have the squad for it, but our team has improved. And then we can aim for that 4th place. Aim for the top 4.
And that's the build.
The following summer, he goes and brings in another 3 good players that get into that first team, or are that good that if one of the players makes a mistake, he's looking over his shoulder because he knows he's lost his place for the next 3 or 4 games. Then we're making improvements and can talk about going for cups, talk about going for leagues and that. But until I see Tottenham do that and stop going for fucking quantity over quality, I can't ever take it serious. Go on, James. You look like you need to say something.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I wanted to say. One, my dream would be to be Ange out, because the only way I will be Ange out is if he's been backed and fouled. That's when I become Ange out. I don't become Ange out now before he's been backed, because that doesn't make sense, in my opinion. The other thing, what you were saying is about if every season we sign 3 players to become a better team. Yeah, that's so Vicario, Van der Ven, Maddison, Udogie come in this window. That's 4. So if we then this summer bring in another 3, we're doing what you asked.
Yes.
Is that fair to say? Is that like?
Yeah, but it
that's the way you build.
takes more. That's how you build. That's what I was telling you earlier, basically, on how he shouldn't even be mentioning the title. He needs to build the team so it can walk, then so it can run, and then so it can sprint.
Yeah,
that is why he should have kept his mouth shut on saying we're going for a title next season, because it's going to put all the fans' hopes up for some stupid
only
reason.
if you, in my opinion, it's only put the
lot of
fans up
people
that
took it serious.
Yeah, but then they're stupid. I'm sorry, but they're stupid. And I know you shouldn't say that about everybody else, but in my opinion, if he's come out and said, look, we're going to be going for the Premier League this season, and I've gone home and gone, oh my God, we're going to win the league next year, that's stupid. Because I can see we've got Højbjerg, Ben Davies. I'm being realistic. He has to try and change the backroom staff. He has to change the attitude of the players. He has to try and change the attitude of Levy. And I think what he said there, again, people are putting 2 and 2 together and saying he's talking about the fans. How do we not know he's not talking about, when he's saying about people outside the club, he's not talking about the press? Because the first opportunity the press have for us, they ridicule us. No, you're this, you should be doing it. Why haven't you got top 4? Like, it's almost like we're a puppet to the media. We're the laughing joke.
Yeah, I understand why. Then now I understand why Ange says that we are going to challenge for a title. Because if he came out and said that we are going for top 4, right, our fan base will go in a meltdown again, because we don't want that top 4 trophy.
I know,
100%.
Yeah,
but at least he would have been honest.
Okay.
At least he would have been honest.
Wait. But then, like what we've been saying, Ange is the club's puppet. The PR is written for him, and he's repeating words that he has to say at a certain time. You get what I'm saying? No? But at a certain time, like now, he's frustrated, right? Like what happened yesterday in the press conference, that could be what he truly feels. But I'm perplexed is that you only found out this in the past 48 hours. That is my perplex to him. If you
but he's known this all season. He just can't go out and go first week of the season, because there's a long season ahead. There's two games or a game left. Everything's over. We've got nothing to play for. This is where he goes, no, I've had enough. Everything needs to change. If his players don't like it, he's only got a game to get them through, and then they can leave. So in my opinion, he's done everything he could to get the highest possible position. Now it's over. The season's over. It's like, well, everybody can have it. You all need to leave. If you're not good enough, you can leave. And like you said, what we said there he said about top 4, not having top 4 going for the title. He's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Because if he comes out and says we're going to try and win the league, everyone's criticising him. If he comes out and says we're aiming to be top 4 Spursy, just want the Champions League money, Daniel Levy only wants Daniel Levy money. Like it's damned if he does, damned if he don't.
That's what I'm saying, James. That is the PR spin that's been put on him. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the media love that. The media love that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any excuse for not bringing in 4 quality players, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't have to spend hundreds of millions to do it. Chelsea bringing a 100 million player. Now, before the rule was changed to 5 years, they amortised that 100 million over 8 seasons, 12.5 million a year they're paying for it, right? So now you can still sign players for 8 years, but you've got to pay their transfer fee out over 5 years. So even if we only had 60 million to spend, right, you could put 15 million down on 4 different players and get 4 60 million players in. Will we do it? With wages, who knows? Our recruitment's been crap in the past, hasn't it? I mean, look at the money we spent on Lo Celso, Ndombele, Davinson Sanchez, Richarlison, 200 million without wages. That's without their wages. And their wages would be like £15 million a year each. They've been with the club. So you could add another 460, another 240 million to that. So now you're talking about 440 million on 4 players, right? You just haven't done it. Our recruitment's got. I mean, we fouled better with our recruitment recently. We have fouled better with some of the players we put in, which I like to call. But Joanne Lange, Scott Munn, who's going to hold the purse strings now, he'll be given a budget and that's it. And how they spend it, Well, it's wait and see, guys. I mean, and I know we're all tired of tired. You know,
I get the point that it's very divided.
Clubs are always
Adrian,
an ongoing project.
I get the point that it's very divided with the fans, and a lot of the times, a lot of us can only speak for ourselves. Yeah, me personally, I would have just appreciated my manager being straight in saying, like, look, we're not ready for a league title yet. We're not ready for this shit yet. So what I want to do is progress my team and build. I want to go for a cup this year and see what I can do. Not go and change 9 players and whatever, but to say I want to at least go for a cup this year. And
all 3.
Then he turns around and says, and then in the following season, we can start looking at higher levels, start looking at Europe and Champions League. And then after that, I want my team to be built enough so I can go for the title. Now, I know none of us want to fucking wait for that because we've all been waiting so bloody long that it's hard to do. But I personally, would have preferred my manager to just be bloody honest and say it how it is. Look, boys, the team's too shit. I cannot go for a title this year or next year. I ain't bionic. I'm not in the X-Men. Whatever way you want him to put it. I would have just preferred my man to be honest. I don't know about you, but that's what I would have personally preferred. Because otherwise, he's just looking like a puppet and he's looking like a liar.
No, I think that the problems are in the squad, and by him saying I want to compete for the league, he's trying to push these shit players to get. If he says to right, look, we're going for top 4, and we get top 4, that for me just says what it doesn't make sense. I think it's like now it would be like, well done, boys, you all had a great season. We got top 4, we was there or thereabouts. I think the fact that he's saying to I would rather aim high and aim low and get where we want to. That's my opinion.
But what I'm saying, right? Ange is actually the club's puppet at the moment. So all the PR bullshit that's been put out there, it is what it is, right? But now what Stel is saying, right? In the past 2 weeks or so, he's feeling the pressure and he's cracking on it.
Of course.
So let's see how far he's going to go on to. You get what I'm saying? And the way whether he's going to be back next summer transfer window, we'll find out, right? Every transfer window we are linked to 2,000 players, right? How many would come in? That's the only question, right? And whether they're quality or not, that's another
Jack Ligros, you understand? 7th wages actually were higher. On that 549 million we made last year, our wage bill was 251.1 million, and it was above Arsenal's. We're fifth highest players, 5th.
Yeah, Adrian, because all the deadwood we're still paying, like,
Exactly. That's why we need to get rid of the deadwood, get the wage bill down, because then again, our squad might be bigger than Arsenal's. It probably is with all the deadwood. So that's probably that's definitely a contributing factor.
Yeah, of course, it's a contributing factor. You pay 200k a week for Ndombele when we even load it up to Galatasaray. We're paying up to 90% of his wages, right? While we're loading him up.
This is what gets me. I mean, because I come from so long ago, these figures are frightening to me, even at my old age, right? But if the rumor is Werner's on 165k or 185k a week, right? On the 165k a week, if he was given a 28, yeah.
I thought Werner's about 90 to 100k, not 165.
Well, I've read 2 reports. One said 185, so I stand corrected.
My God, we are paying Werner that amount of money.
If he was on at Chelsea and he goes back to Leipzig, he's not going to go back on less money, is he? He'd have been on top dollar at Chelsea, wouldn't he? He had that great season before he went to Chelsea. He's not going to take a cut. Okay.
I think he's worth a £5 a week, to be fair.
What I'm saying is, if you give him a 2-year contract on 165k, right, that's 17 million. You're paying 15 million for him. That's 30 million. No one can tell me we can't spend 30 million better.
Okay.
I'd rather buy a younger kid. Seriously.
To come to an end here, because I know other people got other shows and things like that. I personally think we get 5th place. We can do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're not going to lose. We're not going to lose to Sheffield Wednesday. Come on,
need a point.
Well, I wouldn't put nothing past this team, yeah, and especially with the way Ange has just gone about it as well and everything else of that. But bollocks, I think 5th place is there. Where do you think where do you think, if he's even going to be here, where do you think Ange is going to take us next season? Anyone?
No,
I don't think we improve. I think we stay exactly as we are, because we're not going to bring We are not going to bring in the players people think we are. It's not going to happen. We'll sign 7 or 8 players. 2 will be decent.
Oh, yeah.
Another 2 will be like, and the rest will be ones for the future or shit or injured. And then what will happen is you'll see a slight improvement. But Chelsea, you watch that Poch's got the bit between his teeth there, and I think they've got plans. United aren't going to have a season like this again. I'll be shocked. Arsenal are going to be stronger. City will be stronger. Villa will be stronger because now they've got the Champions League money. They already spend more wages than we do. So I think realistically, 5th or 6th is where we'll be. And don't forget, next year we're playing 2 games a week. This season, look at us, 1 game a week. When we start doing Thursday, Sunday again, I think we've forgotten what that was like. Plus, we want to go on a cup run, domestic cup run. So from playing 41 games a year, let's say we play 50, 55. You need a good squad. I don't think we'll be as unlucky with injuries. I thought this year we were in probably the worst 5 clubs for injuries. I thought we had it pretty bad. I think that'll be slightly better. But playing all these games with not, the best transfer window, but not a rubbish transfer window, I think we're 5th or 6th next year again. I think more of the same.
I'm worried, right?
Slightly better on the eye, maybe.
But I'm more worried. You say, like, if you put in that kind of sense, right? I feel we're going to regress down to 7 or 8 if the other teams improve, right?
Well, because Chelsea look like they're progressing, don't they?
Yeah.
And the others are going to buy as well.
Newcastle might, yeah, but you know what? Though, but we're not shit. We're not a crap team. Like we're all right. We're not a bad team. You know what I mean? We go for it. The one thing with us is we do find a way to get goals more often than not. All right, recently it's been a mess. It has, but we have scored more goals this year than last year. And I think if you just get one good winger and a striker, I think we score a hell of a lot more goals.
It can make a big difference.
It will, but there's a lot of work. Like that whole midfield needs replacing almost. Defensively, we've got no good.
It's looking like it at the moment.
It's going to be a fascinating transfer window, guys, because not just for us. Not just for us.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
Right, I'm going to be positive and hopeful because I wouldn't leave my front door and go and watch us play.
Fair enough.
So it's fascinating the other way, and what these other teams will improve, right? And next season, good. I want them to improve because I want them all to take more points of each other rather than drop points to silly teams because that helps. That helps in a long season. And the other thing is, it's going to be interesting to see Newcastle, Wolves, Aston Villa, Chelsea have to sell players. They have to. They're over the limit on their FFP, and they've got to sell. So,
no, Chelsea. No, they don't. There's ways around. This is what I'm saying. There's ways around it. You're listening to the media. Chelsea are trying to sell their training ground to then invent that into their FFP, so they wouldn't have to sell anybody. If they could sell their training ground, So there are ways around it. I wouldn't believe they have to sell because of X, Y, Z. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, next season we need to be finishing minimum of 4th, in my opinion, because he's had his. In my opinion, we need to finish minimum of 4th because he's had his season to get to know his players. I'm demanding that. No, I know, but I demand a number 6 because he's come out. Everyone's come out and said it. We need a right winger. We need a striker. And then I would demand at least 4th, to be honest, because Bentancur, if he plays or if he's sub, he's not shit. Sar's not.
But James,
shit.
who do we finish? What are you saying? We're going to replace Villa for 4th place?
Yeah. Well, no, what? Depends on who we bring in. It depends on who we bring in. It all matters on that.
I got another question, right? We keep saying about midfield and the strikers, right? What about our defense? If he doesn't focus on defending the set plays and actually have a proper defense, right?
But we're talking about the players coming in or out. The players, in my opinion, are good enough.
I think the point that Eugene's making is, if I've understood you right, is that strikers win you games, defense wins you leagues.
Yeah, but when you've got an open gate leading onto your defence, it's a lot harder to defend. When you think about all the great defences that they always had a massive midfield. Someone that's going to do the dirty work. I want a defensive mid that's just going to stand there and just kick everybody. I'll take Sandro back. Give Sandro a call. Ask him to come back. That's exactly what I want in this team. Someone like that that's just going to start fights, kick everybody.
If our defence are still doing that stupid zonal marking thing, marking patches of grass, right? Imagine what's going to happen next season again.
But he hasn't.
A left-footed centre
hasn't
back
done that the last
like
few games, has he?
would solve a lot of problems. One, you've got cover for Van der Ven. One, you've also got cover. You dog it left back, and also if there's other players get injured or suspension, we now know VDV can do a job there. Can he do it over 10 or 12 games? Who knows, right? But he's done all right when he's been put there, right? So a left-footed centre back is a nut and a number 9. Before we do anything, I want a left-footed centre back and a number 9. Don't worry about other positions. The rumour in the club is the main thing.
The thing with the defence, I'm not worried about the players that we don't have. The thing with the defence is I'm worried that they are naive and they're dumb and they don't know how to defend. That's what I'm worried about. If he doesn't,
how can you say that when Romero won a World Cup? How can you say that when Romero won a World Cup? You can't be dumb and not know how to defend and win a World Cup.
The amount of goals we conceded this season.
Yeah, but that's because the gates are open. We've always got 3 players running at our 2 centre backs. Doesn't mean that they're dumb and they can't defend.
So James, then Ange needs to adapt to the Premiership.
Agreed, but again, this is what we was talking about. Players coming in the club. You can't then say, "Well, we'll look at our defence; they conceded loads of goals." Because we basically said, "Everyone go forward, leave 2 centre backs. You guys save our ass." You can only do it a few times.
Eugin, let me finish. Eugin,
let me rephrase that first. Maybe I phrased it wrongly. It's not our players are dumb. Our players look dumb in the style that we have now.
Yes, that's a better way to put it.
I'm not saying the players are dumb. I'm saying the players look dumb because of the tactics that are being played, right? And we know that we've been saying, are we actually coaching our defense? We've seen our set pieces, and we can't even defend corners properly. That's the problem. We need to bolster that part up too. That is not about players. That is about the tactics. That is about the mentality of the players and all that. Vicario, brilliant shot stopper, but when you put him in a corner, right, you put players around him, opposition players, he gets bullied. So that must be something that needs to be rectified by Ange. You see? And maybe, like we've been saying, Ange is not a coach, not that kind of a coach. He's more of a manager. So he needs to get the people in to actually do that coaching part.
I think, Eugene, you just hit the nail on the head with it. But I'm going to have to cut it now because I've got a couple of things coming over with family and that. Eugene, I'll start with you, mate. Where do we find you? And when you're next on, whatever else.
Okay, you find me on Spurs Vision TV, guys. Please give a subscribe to me, Dan, and of course the Lily White Lane, and of course Stel. Stel is gone off because he's got a show to do in about another 18 minutes time. So guys, Spurs Vision TV. Let's see. It's end of season coming up. I'm going to try to start I'm doing a new show called in my honest opinion, right, on what's happening. I've done my first episode with Brian Daigle. Thanks to Brian, my brother, right, hopping on to help me out. Maybe I'll get a few guys to come on and we'll have a good debate on what's going to happen in this summer transfer window. Don't forget, subscribe to all the guys around here. Big up.
Adrian?
Find me on Spurs Diehards Facebook group or on Twitter. My handle is under my name now, so people can see it.
Okay, Stel?
Going live at 5 o'clock, about 20 minutes on my channel. I'm doing an emergency podcast. Levy has broken Ange, and I'm going to do a show on it. So,
that's a good one.
James?
Yeah, I'm always in the chats, Twitter. If ever I get invited on, I like to come on and say my bit. So I'm normally in the chats of everyone's channel, really.
Okay. Well, you've got my WhatsApp number anyway, ain't you? And like I've said, as long as you're a member on here, whatever, you're more than welcome. And Robbie?
Yep, over at Lily White Lane if you want to check us out. As I say, like or dislike, whatever your thoughts are on the videos. But cheers for having me on, Dan, and big up everyone in the
Always
chat.
a pleasure. Okay, Dan, everyone, what I'm going to... Go on, mate.
James, can I get your number off Dan? Is that okay?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
All right, nice one. Cheers, mate.
I've got it on here. Or just put your number quickly in the back panel.
Cool.
Yeah,
we all can link up through the private chats.
So thanks for everyone for coming on. Much appreciated. I don't ask it very often to the supporters, is what I call you. Please give us a like and subscribe. I'm getting close to 3K now, which I want to do. I've also got my X channel, if that's what you want to call it now, on Twitter and that. Yeah, Professor X on the X channel and that. So give us a like and subscribe. Cheers for everyone coming on. Cheers for everyone on the show. Make sure you subscribe to everybody else on there. And until the next debate, see you later.